Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about Bleed Bow once again. Today an update video or upgrade video, more or less, a theory crafting video for my League starter. So basically I'm now done with my Bleed Bow Gladiator. It has done everything that I wanted to do. It was one of the best League starters that I had, and also League starts in general, because I was way more lucky than I usually am in the League start. So yeah, we had a Hinekora's log drop. I just recently got a power charge ring out of ritual. We had divine orb drops. We had the divine orb leak mechanic modifier and stuff like that. And I could generate like 150 divines as of right now. And we are just like day 5 or day 6 of the league. So it has been absolutely crazy. But I did stop the Bleed Bow character for now and moved on to the next build, but because this is just the way I play Path of Exile, you could technically give me the best build ever, and probably I will get bored like 3-4 days after it, because I play like 10 hours a day, and I'm just enjoying the game while leveling up and trying out new builds and new interactions, stuff like that. I don't care about having 100 mirrors, neither do I care about playing one build for the entire league, because it is too boring for me. But it doesn't minder the fact that I had a really good time on the Bleed Bow character. So today I want to share like 3 POBs that I made for Endgame. And this is a big disclaimer. Today there is no showcase video or something. This is the theoretical part, what we could do in Endgame levels of Bleed Bow. And we don't talk about 20, 30 divines investment. We talk about like 500 divines, 1,000 divines investment, something that some people might be interested in, because this is just how, the way I make my POBs. I always want to see what is the maximum that I could reach, right? For example, I once POB'd here Burning Arrow of Vigor, Ignite Elementalist. This is a build that has Adorn Jewel 150% and like 17 or almost 17,000 life with Snipe Burning Arrow. And if I see, hey, I have like 6 mil Ignite DPS or something, right? This could be more min-maxed, obviously, but the numbers are not just there, and that's why I decided, hey, I do not want to play this build, right? Because obviously making a build cheaper and worse is super easy, but I want to see where our builds landing once you invest heavy into it. How tanky are they? How much damage can they do and stuff like that? And then my goal is, when I play a new character, to try to reach these levels of that I have in my POBs, right? So as I said, disclaimer here, these are max item level, whatever, kind of like endgame stuff, just for inspiration or yeah, those kind of things. Good. Let's talk about the first version. I think there is like 3. There is the regular Bleed Bow champion, then we have one with 4th Vow, and then I made another one with self-chill, self-bleed with the new boots, right? So I would say, first things first, all of my endgame Bleed Bow characters are champions and not gladiators. The reason for that is Gladiator is very strong on League start. We get the chance to cause bleeding, for example. We get the bleed explosions, the challenger charges, you know, all of these kind of things are amazing on League start. But now we talk about endgame, now we talk about things where currency don't really matter, right? And I think the champion overall is better, is more tanky than the gladiator. And the thing that we do though is we're gonna yoink the bleed explosions from the gladiator now, right? These jewels are kind of like, or very expensive right now, just because of all the CF champions. I think they also take this note. So the way that I did it, I was playing the Gladiator from a League starter, and I yoinked the Champion Fortitude node, because this was just the cheaper alternative to get like a tankier character. But in endgame, if currency doesn't matter, I would go Champion and then take the Gracious Violence. This is basically what all 3 POBs have in common. So let's talk about the first POB. This is your standard, yeah, basically high damage, spell suppression capped, yeah, Bleed Bow character. So we basically have classic dot multi stuff. We have a very high physical damage bow. We have spell suppression now on every single item. We have the Searing Exarch, Eater of Worlds implicit, and we try to branch out to get like a lot of like physical damage taken as elements to get our EHP a lot higher. And as you see, we're looking here, I think this is with Molten Shell up. Let me quickly check here. Molten Shell, yeah. So without Molten Shell, we're still sitting on like an 87,000 EHP, and with Molten Shell, it's 150,000. So this is like very, very tanky, and still is dot cap. So this is the generic bleed bow character that I would have built in a regular basis, and I played something very, very similar in 321, I think it was, when I min-maxed a bleed bow character, at least not min-max, but played it on the very end game. One fact here, I've done like a fancy little thing here with Supreme Ostentation. It is very hard to get your stat requirements going because you need a high intelligence, you need high dexterity for bows and stuff. Strength is never going to be the issue because we branch out on the left side of the tree anyways, right? So I've done here basically an elegant hubris with the combination of what is it? I always forget the name of this stupid item, man. Impossible escape. So what we can do is getting things like physical damage % increase. Then we have chaos res, or kind of like resistances. Then bleeding deals damage faster, and this is like a nice combination because there is also tireless for maximum life and reduced mana cost, as well as you take reduced extra damage from critical strikes and increased armor overall. So I put this in, like, the question with these Thanos jewels is always, are they ever going to be available, or which kind of combinations are available? I could make a complete video on how to figure out what is a good Thanos jewel, and then you still, you know, you could pick the best Thanos jewel ever. If they are not on the market, then you cannot play with it, right? It would be theoretically the best, but if it's not available, it's not available. You have to go for something else, right? But something like a mix of % increased physical damage, bleeding faster, and so on gives you like a lot of damage. Good. I will not talk too much about this version because this is the version that I pretty much played back in the days, and there is also video footage on how this kind of like character plays like. This one is a little bit different. I think the old one I played with Grand Spectrum jewels for minimum frenzy, minimum endurance, and chance to avoid elemental ailments, but this was still as a gladiator, and this one now is a champion with stun immunity, the less damage taken from Fortify, the adrenaline, inspirational, and stuff like that, sitting on like almost like 90,000 armor, 50,000 evasion. So it should be pretty tanky and a very well-rounded build. The next one is basically the 4th bow version, and this is something that I personally wanted to do just because it is something I haven't done before, and it might be very interesting. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the 4th bow body armor. I'm actually going to put this one up over here, 4th bow, so you can follow that one. If we can find it on the wiki though, 4th bow PoE. Oh, there it is. So this is the body armor that I'm talking about. It basically offers you armor, also applies to chaos damage taken from hits, right? And to make this chest like really good, we need a certain keystone, which is Divine Flesh. So what is Divine Flesh doing? Basically all damage taken bypasses Energy Shield. We don't care about that because we have we don't have Energy Shield anyways, and like this 400 doesn't really matter, right? But it says 50% of ally damage taken as chaos damage, and we get 5 to maximum chaos resistance. So why is this so good with the combination of the 4th bow? So basically, armor applies to chaos damage taken from hits. So now we convert 50% of elemental damage into chaos. So let's say we get like 10,000 fire damage. We split it up 50-50 into 5,000 fire and 5,000 chaos. But this chaos damage that we get, the 5,000, first of all, we have more chaos resistance than we have fire resistance. But also our armor will now mitigate these remaining 5,000 even further damage, right? So this is basically a really nice way of like reducing the incoming damage. First we split into chaos, or partly into chaos, and then we have additional armor applied to that chaos damage. Very similar as something like Transcendence Keystones, for example, works, right? But that's why we cannot use Supreme Ostentation. That's why we have to branch out and get actually stat requirements on our gear. Another cool thing here, we have also like a maximum chaos resistance nodes. We have increased physical damage nodes on the Glorious Vanity, but also bleeding faster, similar to the one from the, what is it, Elegant Hubris, right? Another thing here, there is a mastery from the Sanctum of Thought. Here is the Armor Evasion Mastery, Armor and Energy Shield Mastery. It has 10% of physical damage taken from hits as chaos damage. So now, even our physical damage is partly getting split into chaos damage, which then gets like further mitigated. Because you know, like chaos damage is not like physical damage. Another thing that you can then branch out is if you are going for physical damage taken as from hits as chaos damage on the helm implicit, for example, there is a delve modifier that says physical damage taken from hits as chaos damage. So now you want to actually get chaos damage because it further gets mitigated by armor, right? No matter if it's like elemental damage or physical damage, right? So this is basically the adaptation that I've done here, but it requires more skill points, right? So that's why I decided to not go over here and take Mage Bane and stuff like that, because the reason why I used on the first version I branched out to Mage Bane and Reflexes is to have the evasion mastery with a 15% spell suppression that I get extra, right? Problem is, in order to get that mastery, you need your helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots to have evasion rating, which typically is the case with the other versions, right? But the fourth vow is an armor energy shield, so it doesn't have evasion, so that means we cannot use the mastery. Instead, since I needed way more dexterity anyways, I branched to the right side, taking the Entrench cluster as well as like some spell suppression notes over here. Now the question is it even worth to go for spell suppression on a build like that? Because we're stacking high amounts of armor. I think here I even ditched a Grace entirely. I'm not even sure what these the setup was here. Malevolence, Determination, Pride, Warbanner, Flesh and Stone. So yeah, this version doesn't have Grace, the other one had Grace, but still this one is like a lot more tanky thanks to the Divine Flesh and the fourth vow interaction. As I said, this is up to you. If you want to go for spell suppression or not, you could always try to go for a Megalomaniac with, for example, Enduring Composure, any kind of like aura, mana reservation, maybe additional spell suppression or something like that to help you to not branch out. Because in the best case scenario, I don't mind going here on the right side, but these points over here are kind of too clunky, right? But, you know, this is just like theory part, like you can do whatever you would like to do. I'm just like giving some ideas and probably pointing in some directions, right? Another thing here that we have to fix is now we don't have blood in the eyes. Now we don't have 50% chance to cause bleeding. So now our split arrow only has like a certain amount of chance to bleed, right? So we could fix that with either a chance to bleed support. But the way I did it now, I added like attacks cause bleeding on my bow. And then instead of the physical dot multi notes, I took back the attack cause bleeding notes, right? And then there's other ways that you could probably get some chance to bleed, but you want to make sure that you have your 100% chance to bleed, because otherwise it just doesn't feel that great. Good, this is the fourth vow version, and then we would have another one that I was theory crafting. It is now with self-chill, and this is like a bit weird, and I don't know if this is actually worth it. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about the Tempest Rising. These are the new boots they're dropping from Uber Cyrus, right? They are very cheap because nobody plays it. Think about it. This is an Uber boss drop, and they cost like, I don't know, like 5 divines or something to even do the Uber boss. I think these boots go for like, let me actually check because it's actually funny, like Tempest Rising. So yeah, they are going currently for 10 chaos, right? They are dirt cheap. So what does it do? We have increased duration of ailments on enemy, which also is bleed. We also have damage deals faster, which is also like very, very nice in terms of damage. And the coolest line is you and enemies in your presence count as moving while affected by elemental ailments. So this was, for me, when I saw these boots, I was like, this is a game changer, because now we don't have to use ensnaring arrows anymore, right? The problem, though, is this kind of thing requires you to use other items, right? And now the question is, how good is the trade-off, and is it even worth? So the way I did it is with the Venopuncture ring, right? What this ring says is you are chilled while you're bleeding, and non-chilled enemies you inflict bleeding on are chilled, and bleeding enemies you kill with hits shatter. So basically, this will, if the enemy is bleeding, it's chilled. I'm not 100% sure how these boots actually work, because I think somebody tested this already. My understanding is from the boots, let me actually pick them one up again, Tempest Rising. So my understanding when I read those is you and enemies are in your presence count as moving while affected by elemental ailments. I thought the way it works is if I am affected by an elemental ailment and not the enemy, right? Because I get... But somebody tested this and said it doesn't matter if you are affected by an elemental ailment, you count as moving, and if the enemy is affected by an elemental ailment, it counts as moving, which makes it a lot easier, because the way I built here is with Winter Weave and self-chill for insane amounts of like attack speed, movement speed, and basically reverting the effect of chill. So if I get a big chill, since I'm self-bleeding now, it would make the character a lot faster, but it's quite a high investment cost because we are losing 2 ring slots. We also have to play with the golden rule to make this even work. Bleeding you inflict is reflected to you, and on top of that, we need then a Watcher's Eye modifier with unaffected by bleeding. You're not allowed to get immune to bleeding. I think this is what the mastery over here does. Immune to bleeding does mean that you don't even get the debuff, right? But we want to self-bleed, basically, right? So the way to do that, there is items that allow you that, but I think the easiest way would be a Watcher's Eye modifier with unaffected by bleeding, while affected by Malevolence, and we do run Malevolence, so now we're unaffected. So Watcher's Eye plus the Golden Rule plus at least 1 ring slot, or 2 if you want to go for self-chill. I think all of these kind of combined with the boots is like a downside, in my opinion. It's just too much investment. You lose a lot of damage for additional speed, but you know, it's like whatever you want to do, I just said like I don't think this is worth. It still would be the same version with the 4th Vow and the Divine Flesh combination for the additional damage reduction, but then I branched out over here for additional mana reservation efficiency and stuff like that. But those are kind of like the 3 POBs that I put together where I thought like this might be interesting. This is something we could try out. I personally, I think I would go with the 4th Vow setup because it is like a lot more tanky. It still has like dot cap and is pretty decent when it comes to that. It's just like the way how to figure that one, probably with a Megalomaniac, probably with certain aspects where we can fish for additional spell suppression. I think even the Glorious Vanity could also have a spell suppression node, so you can like just try to figure out how something like this might work out. All right, guys. POBs are linked in the description below. As I say again, these are like picture perfect POBs with perfect items just to see where we could go if we would spend countless currency into the build. And if you say, hey, Bleed Bow is the best build ever, I want to play this forever, I'm going to play it 3 months straight, then this might help you. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.